Lord have mercy. Welcome again to another episode of Since Drums in Life. I am your host, Lionel McDonald. So, guess what we're going to talk about today? We are going to talk about the new Black Star album, No Fear of Time. So, this is the original album that was out in 1998. So, it's been 24 years since we got a Black Star album. A lot of thoughts I have on this album. A lot of thoughts I have about Black Star and the Luminary app and how you were able to get it. So we can unpack a lot of different things. But before we kind of get into it, let's just take a quick rewind and paint a little picture for those that are not familiar, whether you're listening on YouTube or your favorite, way you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, Google, whatever that looks like. But let's take a quick history. So I think we initially need to start with the label that Talib Kweli and Mos Def, that they are Black Star. That was the original album back in '98. So they were signed to Rawkus Records. So it was a hip hop label, now defunct, unfortunately, but it was able to string together some of the top underground, we'll call them backpack MCs, from Company Flow, High Tech, which was a producer and at times was on the mic, and then obviously we have Mos Def and Kweli. We know that Mos Def now goes by Yasiin Bey. And then obviously there were multiple other MCs as well. This is when we first heard Eminem. Mad Skills, now Skills, was also part of the fold. Pharoah Monch was part of the fold as well as Common. So didn't last long. It really got rolling in the late 90s. We had Company Flow album, Sound Bombing, but I think the one that people most remember, because it was so creative and felt just so good just to hear MCs just get after it, was Lyricist Lounge back in '98. And then shortly after, we got the Black Star album. We also got Ben Mos Def's initial album in '99, Black on Both Sides, which is has tons of accolades, and has some of our the best Mos Def songs we've ever heard. Pharoah Monch also had his album Internal Affairs, which I truly love. Simon Says is on that. Skipping ahead, we definitely got High Tech and Talib Kweli together on Train of Thought. We got High Tech on Technology. Can't forget, this is where we got the Big Picture album, the last album from the late Big L. And it's unfortunate because we thought Big L was absolutely going to blow up, and unfortunately he passed away. And then several of the other Quality albums ended up Quality, Beautiful Struggle, among others. We got a Marco Polo album, Port Authority, and then by 2007 there's other albums in there, but including Sound Bombing 2 and 3, and along with Beat Miners and some others. But by then, Rawkus kind of went belly up, and that was the end of the label. But none the same, some of the best underground pieces that we've ever got. So again, two MCs, Talib, Bey, came together. They gave us Black Star, and Black Star is that album is one of the best albums we've ever heard. Lyrically, from a music and a feel, we got the stories, we got the heartwarming appeal, the feel of that album, and lots of contributions from Beat Miners to High Tech. And again, it's all of the Rawkus guys working together. But we know that the tracks are Definition, which we still and resonates today. Thieves in the Night. I think 88 Keys was the producer on that one. And then Respiration with Common. High Tech did that one, longer track, but definitely one of our favorite albums from that decade. We could talk about what the source gave. It only got 3.5 mics, but needless to say, that was an absolute amazing album. So fast forward, that was 98, 2022. We now, after 24 years, get a Black Star album. Why, you ask? Well, I think we need to unpack, some of the things that the MCs have been through. We've seen them go to different forms of media. We've, continue to see Kweli relevant. We know that, Yasiin Bey, otherwise known as Mos Def, he actually retired at one point. I think, a few years back, I think it was about 6 or 7 years ago, he said he was done with MCing. So throughout the pandemic, with their good friend, Dave Chappelle, and again, Dave Chappelle, from a hip hop standpoint, may have given me my favorite hip hop movie outside Juice. And it essentially was just filming a concert. So we know that the Block Party with Erykah Badu, with The Roots, with a young Kanye, with Common, among other MCs, and obviously Black Star, that was out in the mid 2000s. Went to theater. I have it on DVD. Absolutely amazing. You need a good hour and a half to really enjoy what hip hop looked like from the backpack era. You just need to throw that on and get some popcorn and your favorite beverage and truly enjoy. But that's a Dave Chappelle plug. But fast forward, moving forward, after Dave Chappelle disappeared, reappeared, started doing stand-up. They start working with the Luminary Group, and a podcast comes to be, it's pretty amazing and kind of pretty amazing to think that Dave Chappelle would be one to come together on a podcast, no less with, well, I guess, can it really be surprised that it was with Mos Def and Talib Kweli, and I keep saying, Mos Def, but it's really Yasiin Bey. So it's the three of them. This start, it was really an opportunity to share thoughts, to share stories. There's some great stories. I think Mos Def and Dave Chappelle in one of the episodes tell a story about Robin Williams, and it's absolutely hilarious. It is such an amazing podcast to listen to. Highlight of it, earlier this year you hear about Yasiin Bey's thoughts on Bugs Bunny mathematics, and how we have essentially, putting your music together and putting it on Spotify, and how artists today get paid. It's not like the record days. It feels actually worse than the record days, unless you sign with a major label, and then that's a whole different ball of wax. So I think there's so many great things that are there with that podcast. Now they're kind of rolling through, I guess, parts of season 2 now, I think you would call it, but definitely something to listen to. I've thoroughly enjoyed and listened to most of them, but I think in one of the most recent podcasts that they had, it led to conversations about Black Star, and where, let's just get in the booth and record a Black Star album. And we know Yasiin Bey has been reluctant. He's supposed to be retired. I think Kweli was the driving force and really wanted to be the one behind coming together and building a Black Star album again, or building again, you know, part two of what they were, because again, the part one is absolutely magic. So fast forward, all of a sudden there's an Instagram post that I see, and sure enough, Black Star is returning on May 3rd, 2020, and I'm recording this, you know, 9 days later, after really digesting and listening to the album. So I've listened to all the podcasts. I've obviously, you have to be a subscriber. So something unique, they did not want to go to Spotify. It's not on Apple Music. You can find, I think someone's burned it and put it on YouTube, so you might be able to find it there. But the organic and the true way you should go about it is actually going to look at this album on the Luminary app. So thoughts on the album, let's try to unpack it. So throughout the 33 minutes and 9 tracks, so hey, this is not a long album. I would tell you that there's not a lot of filler. I can really feel that this was a very organic album. This is an album that they really, I wouldn't say they took a tremendous amount of time, and we know projects that, you know, we hear the stories about Q-Tip and him, you know, striving for perfection, and sometimes like albums just don't get released or anywhere close to where the record company may have needed it or the public demanded it, because they want to take time, and he wanted Q-Tip, and as a friend of theirs, wanted to make it absolutely perfect. I wouldn't say that they rushed through this, don't get me wrong, but I think they organically wrote songs. You know, I would tell you, if I were to describe it, it is, call it cipher-like. And we know that sometimes you get your best rhymes, some fun and at the same time thought-provoking wordplay you get when you're in a cipher. And we've seen some amazing things with BET ciphers, you know, organic ciphers. I think with some of the best ciphers we've ever seen, Star, Mos Def, or Yasiin Bey. So I really think that, although I think there's some significant thought that kind of went through behind the album, you know, you don't get run in with filler, nor do you get I guess consumed with endless interludes to really extend or make the album longer. I think, you know, as a true, you know, being selfish as a Black Star fan, do I wish the album was longer? Sure. But I think there's a lot of highlights to take away from the album. But I will qualify first off, if you think that it is going to be this album for those that are looking on YouTube, Talib Kweli and Mos Def are Black Star. If you think it's going to be that album, it's not. It's nothing like the original album. So here's some of the highlights. And I guess my analysis through it. So I think when you think about the two MCs and how they flow together and their chemistry, literally nothing has changed in 24 years. It's like it sounds at times that they just continue, they've been writing together and have multiple albums over the 24. There is undeniable chemistry that they have between the two. I think you really hear in the tempo of some of the songs. So I think track 3, you know, Sweetheart, Sweetheart, Sweethold, that song, you definitely feel that as Kweli is on a level, Bey is on the same level. You definitely hear the main thing on that album, Bey's on a level, Kweli matches his energy. I think on Frequency, which is one of the highlights for me, and I'll tell you why in a second, the energy is matched. So you can tell that these two, again, this is kind of a throwback. This is like a backpackers Renaissance album. So you really feel that we just went back in some respects to the 90s. And some people may argue, oh, well, This is 2022. We got to evolve. We got to think different things. We got to sound different. We got to challenge ourselves on different flows. Well, I would say that the two MCs are two of the most creative MCs that are out there with wordplay, with cadence. So that none of that is lost. I think what's, if we go to kind of the production's handled all by Madlib. Now, Madlib is, comes from the Dilla ranks and is definitely affiliated, but would I tell you that this is Mad Villainy level in terms of production? No. Is this even Bandana? I would say it's comparable, not quite the same. I love how Freddie Gibbs and Madlib sound together, but I would tell you that Madlib takes you literally, this is your daydreaming, pondering great thoughts. You almost feel like you're in outer space, the journey on the production side that Madlib takes you. Is there, like, if you compare the two albums, is there like a standout cut? So I tell you, there's definitely songs that I like. There's definitely songs that I like on this album versus the first one. But would I tell you that there's a radio-friendly single? No Fear of Time. It's probably the song that feels most like a song and most like a song that they could ride, commercial success if that was the end game. I definitely don't think that. But if you were going to put a song out as a single and we had to put it on major other platforms, I think that would be the song that they would probably go with. I think it's definitely the depth of lyricism. It's definitely there. I think we touch on so many topics, from white supremacy, to social protest, to equality, to incarceration. We talk about death. Like there's so many different things that both MCs unpack at times. You definitely can feel, Bey's eccentricness and the frustration and anger that is Talib Kweli, that he shared over the years, that he's had on his own podcast. But these are good. These are who these people have now evolved in. We don't need, I think we have to be comfortable and accept that artists evolve and artists want to try new things. I know personally, when Common did Electric Circus, I didn't like it. I wanted Common. I used to love her Common. I wanted that type of Common versus him experimenting and doing other things. But artists need the opportunity to try and do other things. So I'm not even saying that I'm accepting. I love who they are now and how they've evolved. So I think for a listener, you really need to kind of give that a chance and really think about some of those pieces. I think when we talk about when I talked about song structure of No Fear of Time, a lot of the songs are just, there's a piece that ties one track to another. I think, Madlib is very clever in terms of some of the transitions that he uses, but there's not a lot of choruses on these songs. I'll tell you, maybe a third of the songs have a true chorus, but that's okay. I don't think you need to say that you need to have a chorus or a bridge in order to have a song. And MCing and hip hop is different than any other genre of music. So I'm good with what they've done here. So I'd say guest shots, easily we could say, let's just fire up the band. I want Eminem, I want Pharoah, I want to bring back all the backers. I want all the backpackers from back in the day. We kind of get, a couple, but obviously the one that we're going to talk about is track 8 in Frequency. So longtime friend, arguably one of the greatest MCs ever, Black Thought makes an appearance to open up track 8 on Frequency, and Black Thought in Black Thought's way absolutely crushes the verse and totally spits a fantastic 16. So definitely we got some great juice and some great things happening there. Other than that, not much else. And am I okay with it? I came to the party. I got the app to really hear the podcast, with Chappelle Bay and Kweli, and now I get an album on top of it. I'm laughing. I'm a boom bap guy from the '90s, so I'll accept. Will all other fans accept this? Maybe, maybe not. That is for you to decide. And this is again my perspective on how I think. This is, you know, a great reunion, 24 years in the making. So again, if you think that you were getting the original Black Star album and part two, those types of albums are so hard to live up to because artists evolve. And again, to get it 24 years later, now, hey, we've had reunion albums that have sounded really good. We think of the last Tribe Called Quest album, although Phife Dawg had passed away. They did a great job in pulling that whole project in. Personally, robbed of a Grammy, but that's neither here nor there. The music was for the people. The people loved the album. I'm still playing the album to this day. So, but with this album, no time of or no fear of time. It's not that. I wouldn't even say that it doesn't feel the same. I don't even, it would be very even difficult for me to kind of compare the album. But I think when we look at all of the things that are with this album, this is probably the gold standard of all albums so far in 2021. And that's a bold statement, but these guys took how long of a break, and them coming back together, taking a chance to come back together. I think they wrote this personally, and I haven't seen all the details, but they wrote this organically in between podcasts, in between. Like, they didn't go to the studio and let's say, like, they were kind of just working on it, and eventually this is how it came to be. So for true Black Star fans, you will like the album. You may say that there's something missing. I think you have to accept the evolution of the artists and the people that Bey and Kweli used to be and now are. So for Black Star love, this is definitely a perfectly imperfect album. Great for yours. Enjoy all 33 minutes. This is Lionel McDonald. Thank you for another episode of Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life. Peace.